A $1,000 PlayStation 6. Honestly, if you had asked me 5 years ago, I would have laughed in your face if such a thing could actually be possible. But today, I'm not so sure. Now, before you dismiss this as a ridiculous internet rumor, just hear me out for a sec. You see, this prediction comes from a leaker known as Kepler. He's an industry insider who accurately leaked PlayStation hardware and console component pricing way before it was actually announced. So it's kind of serious. Now, of course, Sony hasn't confirmed any of this. I mean, the PlayStation 6 barely has an official price that we know of yet. But you know what actually caught my eye? What caught my attention was the fact that a $1,000 PlayStation no longer sounds impossible, but probable. That's what kind of scared me. But the funny thing is, looking and thinking about this thing, I realized that instead of asking, would you actually pay $1,000 for a PlayStation 6? I think the better question probably should be something like, what actually happens if consoles keep heading in that direction? Because I think once they do, this entire thing stops being an isolated PlayStation island story and becomes a far more tragic and painful story of who gets left behind. And the unfortunate thing is, once I actually started looking at it from this angle, it became hard to unsee. Now, Kepler's argument isn't that Sony suddenly became greedy out of nowhere and stuff like that. It's much more simple. It's actually based on rising hardware costs, memory prices, and manufacturing pressures are actively contributing towards a four-figure console. Now, whether his prediction turns out to be actually right or wrong isn't necessarily the point here. The fact that millions of gamers can actually imagine a world where this is actually possible is. Because I want you to think about who PlayStation was actually meant for, or been for. I mean, you have the teenager whose parents buy him a console every single generation. Or take the university student saving through the semester hoping that he'll be able to actually buy himself a console. Or the guy working his first real job, who's finally earned enough money to treat himself. Now imagine every single one of those guys standing in Best Buy just looking at the PS6 costing $1,000. And the question that's going through their heads isn't the question that they used to ask themselves back then, which is, man, I'm definitely gonna get this. I can't wait to play this thing. But now it's more of a, should I even get this thing to begin with? The teenager is like, there's no way my parents are gonna afford this, you know? And the varsity student is probably thinking like, how the hell am I supposed to justify that? Because funny enough, now the PlayStation in of itself is no longer competing with an Xbox. It's competing with real life responsibilities. It's competing against rent, groceries, you name it. I mean, for decades, buying a console was almost an automatic entertainment purchase. Hands down, you just had to have it. But now, it's sitting on the same level as decisions like, should I finance my mortgage? How do I go about doing that? And the funny thing is, I can imagine all those demographics we just mentioned, looking at the PS6 and probably thinking, you know what, I'll buy it in the next 2 years when the price has gone down. I'm not even gonna bother upgrading. This is ridiculous. But then imagine if millions of players make the exact same decision. How do you think that will actually affect the industry? Well, we know for sure that Sony will sell less consoles, developers will become more cautious, fewer exclusives will be made because the install base has actually shrunk, and of course, consumers finally have less or fewer and fewer reasons to upgrade in the first place. Isn't it crazy how one expensive console doesn't just merely change the price, but it changes almost every stakeholder's incentives as well? Games genuinely cost more to make today. We've heard this song and dance for I don't know how long now. Budgets are bigger, longer development times. Most of us get that, we understand that. And like I always say, that the actual problem isn't necessarily about paying more. People don't mind paying more. But in this particular case, it feels as if the real fear is waking up one morning or one day and realizing that gaming has quietly moved on without you. It's no longer for you now. It's for the elite, it's for the whales. And you, well, you're just too broke for Sony now. I mean, sadly, there is a huge difference between gaming has become more expensive and gaming has simply become more exclusive. But, you know, let's just say maybe none of this happens. I genuinely hope it doesn't. But I personally fear that if the next generation keeps pushing gaming further and further into luxury territory, asking whether the PS6 will actually be worth buying will be the least of your concerns. The question that ought to be reverberating in your soul will be whether the next generation of gamers will still be able to afford to join us. Or better yet, if you will be able to join the next generation of gamers and being able to acknowledge and accept the fact that you have been quietly and silently priced out of your favorite hobby.